Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, I will show you how to customize the grouping bar in the Vue Pivot Table component. I'm going to show you how to add, remove, filter, and sort members using the grouping bar UI. You will see how to rearrange fields between axes and modify the aggregation type dynamically. You will also see how to enable the Fields panel and customize grouping bars. First, I open an existing Vue application that has a Vue Pivot Table with a list of data retrieved from a local data source. If you want to know how to get started with the Vue Pivot Table component, refer to the video linked in the card above. I will run this application using the npm run dev command and show the initial demo. You will see the pivot table rendered with the defined data source. First, let's see how to enable the grouping bar in a pivot table. I import the grouping bar module from the Syncfusion EJ2 Vue Pivot View package. I define a variable called showGroupingBar and set its value to true. Then, assign this variable to the component using the showGroupingBar property. Finally, I include the grouping bar module in the Provide section. See, the pivot table displays grouping bars of the fields that are bound to rows, columns, and values. Using these bars, I can filter and sort field members and remove and rearrange fields between axes. First, I sort the members of the country field in descending order. Then, I filter the members of the date field by clicking its filter icon. The dialog box opens with the list of members. Here I remove the years 2005 and 2006 and click OK. The pivot table now displays only the years 2007 and 2008 in the date field. If you want to know about filtering and sorting functionalities in detail, refer to the documentation link given below. To rearrange fields between axes, simply drag and drop them. Here, I drag the country field and drop it into the filter axis. To remove any field from the current report, I use the remove icon. You can also modify the aggregation type for the value fields using these value type icons dynamically. The default aggregation type is sum for the value fields. Let me modify the aggregation type of the sold amount field by clicking the icon. A drop-down opens with a list of 7 types. The remaining types will be shown as I click the More option. A pop-up opens with all the types for me to choose. To calculate the average sales amount, I select Average. I also change the field caption to Sales Amount. You can see the grouping bar of the sold amount field updated to average of sales amount, and the pivot table displaying the average sales amount. The grouping bar will also enable the Fields panel in a pivot table. This panel displays the fields in the data source but not bound to the current report. To demonstrate this, I define the grouping bar settings property and set the Show Fields panel property to true. I then assign this setting to the component using the grouping bar settings property. The Fields panel displays the state field, which is not bound to the report. I can add this state field to any axis on the table dynamically by dragging and dropping it. I add it to the rows axis. See the rows axis with the state field added. Likewise, any field that is removed from the current report will automatically be added to the Fields panel. For example, I remove country from the row axis. Notice that it has been added to the Fields panel. Okay, you have just seen the UI interactions that can be performed using the grouping bar option. Now let me show you how to customize these interactive options. There is a filter setting for the product field, and the pivot table displays filtered data. If I want to prevent applying filters dynamically on the UI, I need to remove the filter icon from the product field grouping bar. To do this, I set the Show Filter Icon property to false in the product field. The filter option is now disabled for the product field. To disable the filter option for all fields, I disable the Show Filter Icon property in the grouping bar settings property. Looking here, filtering is disabled for all fields. Similarly, if you want to prevent sorting a field dynamically, just disable the sort option. To disable sorting in the country field, I set the Show Sort Icon property to false. See, sorting is now disabled for the country field. To disable sorting for all fields, simply disable the Show Sort Icon property in the grouping bar settings. Check now, the sorting is disabled for all fields. If I do not want to remove any field from the report dynamically, I can disable the Show Remove Icon property in the respective field. I will demonstrate it with the quarter field. Now, this field cannot be removed from the report. You can also disable the Remove icon for all fields by disabling it in the grouping bar settings property. Next, let me show you how to disable the drag and drop option for a specific field. I disable it for the date field by setting the Allow Drag and Drop property to false. The drag and drop is thus disabled for the date field. You can disable it for all fields by disabling the Allow Drag and Drop property. By default, the value type dropdown displays all aggregation types in the More option. To customize the list, use the Aggregate Types property. To demonstrate, I define the aggregate types and add the desired types like distinct count, average, and product to it. Then, I assign this variable to the aggregate types property. See, now the value dropdown has only 3 defined list items. If you want to hide the aggregation type and display only the field name, use the Show Aggregation on Value field property. To demonstrate, I set the Show Aggregation on Value field property to false. Now, the bars of value fields display only the field's names. If you have set the aggregation type for the value field in code and do not want to modify it dynamically, disable the Show Value Type icon property. For this example, I will disable the value type dropdown for the sold amount field by setting the Show Value Type icon property to false. Looking here, there is no option to modify the aggregation type for the sold amount field. You can disable this property inside the grouping bar settings tag to disable the aggregate selection type for all value fields. In this video, I showed you how to perform filtering, sorting, removing and rearranging the fields using the grouping bar option in the pivot table. You also saw how to modify the aggregation type, enable the fields panel, and customize the interactive options in the grouping bars. If you would like to see the working example of this, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also provided a link where you can see if you qualify for a free license key to use our Vue products through our community license. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.